World Cup is one of the most beautiful things that I've been saying for a really long time that you'll be engaged in. And over the period of the tournament, I'll be sharing a few thoughts about my YouTube page. So we'll be happy for you to subscribe to that page. Let's have some really engaging conversations relating to the World Cup. Now, when the Black Stars line up against Portugal, it will be the 13th match that the Black Stars have played in the history of the World Cup. I've been lucky to have seen 12 of them live. Unfortunately, won't see the one against Portugal in person, but I will be sitting behind my TV set hoping that the Black Stars will do what they did in their second game of the World Cup against Czech Republic, what they did in the third game of their World Cup against the USA in Germany, then in the fifth game that Ghana ever played at the World Cup, in the opening game of the 2010 World Cup against Serbia, when they won 1-0 and a Samoajan penalty, ensuring that, and what they did subsequent to that in about the seventh game of the World Cup against the USA in the second round of the World Cup before reaching the quarterfinal. It's been a while though since Ghana appeared at the World Cup. The last appearance came in June 2014. So there's been 8 good years between then and now. The last time was against guess who? Against Portugal as well. So the last team that the Black Stars played at the World Cup is the next team that the Black Stars is playing at the World Cup. And the last World Cup was played under pretty complicated circumstances. There were jokes about players keeping an eye on their bags to make sure that their $100,000 was safe. Now, that $100,000 became fabled for a particular reason, fabled for the wrong reason. So infamous, you have to say. This was because money had been flown from Ghana, I think in excess of $3 million, to the players who had been complaining and agitating and eventually went on strike over the inability of government to settle their 100,000 appearance fee. Basically, they said, no appearance fee, we are not training, we are not playing. And government then had to send a plane full load of cash to pay them. The size of players casing the money caused significant embarrassment. And that's where we are now. So against Portugal, the Black Stars will be hoping that they can redeem their image in multiple ways. To redeem their image, of course, they need to win and win properly. And if you look at Ghana's record in the competition, I mentioned the Black Stars have played in 12 matches. Now, these are 12 matches spread across a period of 2006. When the Black Stars line up against Portugal, they will be lining up for the 13th time in the World Cup finals. Now, 12 of them have come in 3 different competitions. In 2006, Ghana privileged to play in that period 4 games. It was the first World Cup appearance. The team managed to get through to the knockout stages. In 2010, Ghana then went on to play 5 games because it reached the quarterfinals. And then in 2014, for the first time, Ghana ended up playing only 3 games. And the record is not the greatest, but it's not bad either. So there have been 4 wins in that period for the Black Stars. 3 draws. I remember those 3 draws pretty much. One against Australia in Rustenburg. There was another one against Germany, maybe the most famous of Ghana draws in Fortaleza, 2-2. A delightful Koja Samoa cross, and then a headed goal by Asamoah Gyan that made him the highest goal scorer in the history of the World Cup for an African player. And then I think there was another draw in the 2010 World Cup. So that basically is it. Now, in that period as well, Ghana has scored 13 goals. Gyan has scored 6 of them, but there's a deficit of -3. Ghana has lead goals. Now, whatever way you look at it, every one of these departments must improve. By my reckoning, for this to improve, Otuado needs to make some pretty difficult choices. I think Atizigi is likely to be the man who gets the nod. It will be a straight fight between Dennis Odoi and the Brighton Hove Albion right back, Tariq Lamptey, to decide who gets that nod. The big decision point will be who plays in centre back, whether it will be a Salisu and Daniel Amate pairing, which will be an English Premier League pairing, or Otuado will put in the phenomenally gifted and talented and really good defender, Bernard Djiku of Strasbourg, to get the nod. The other big call has to be in midfield, where Adu must decide whether it's Salis Lons who starts or another option. But we know that Thomas Partey is definitely going to start. And then there are big calls to be made up front. And I have a feeling that Inaki Williams might get a big nod. Now, whatever happens, we're hoping to see some really, really good football. If Dede Ayew starts, and very likely to start and captain Ghana, it will be the first game that he's captained the Black Stars in at the World Cup. He's done this for a pretty long time. He's played 110 games. And there's a reason why, regardless of what people say, you want a player like that in your team. And I'll give you the reason why. He is a man who knows what to do when he steps out on the big stage. So he scored 23 goals for the Black Stars. But this is what makes the statistics interesting. His record in major tournaments, he's played 34 games and he scored 10 times and provided 2 assists. So he knows how to step up on that stage. And he's had 2 goals at the World Cup, including one against the USA. It makes it interesting. And I think that's why there's a big likelihood that he will be the man who gets the nod. Whatever it is, I wish the Black Stars the best of luck. We'll be back discussing the game afterwards.